former Miss South Africa finalist and Miss Universe Nigeria, Chidimma Adetshina, is continuing her fight to stay in the country. Adetshina appeared in the Cape Town Regional Court today after her arrest for entering the country illegally. Adetshina first made headlines when she was forced to withdraw from the Miss South Africa pageant in 2024. Home Affairs later alleged that her mother had committed identity theft to gain South African citizenship. Adetshina was declared a banned person, but she entered the country through the Bombo border post, and she was arrested in June after she was traced to the mother city. The beauty queen has now submitted an affidavit to the court outlining the steps that she is taking to legalize her stay in the country. The prosecution is expected to submit a replying affidavit before the case resumes on Monday.
This story is crazy, y'all. Her mother should also be charged with identity theft because during the time of this woman's birth, her mother stole the identity of a South African mother to register herself and her daughter during the time. Come to find out, the documentation was fraudulent because it's identity theft. Then years later, you go to try to participate in the beauty pageant in South Africa and you couldn't produce documentation to prove her citizenship, and that's why they disqualified her because she didn't have the appropriate documentation. She couldn't provide the documentation. Now she's going to court to try to stay in South Africa. This was a scam from the beginning. I don't know how old this lady is, but 20 years ago, 26 years ago, it was all a fraud. Whenever this woman was, born, I don't know her birthday, but I mean, did they document her birthday? But yeah, so since the beginning, her whole stay in South Africa been fraudulent, and her mother's, because you falsified documents, you stole people's identity. The mother should also be charged.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Sumi here again. I hope you guys are doing well wherever you are. So ladies and gentlemen, this is quite interesting. Today's story has sparked a lot of debate across South Africa and beyond. It's about Chidimma, the former Miss South Africa finalist and Miss Universe Nigeria, who is currently fighting to remain in South Africa after being arrested for allegedly entering the country illegally. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this case is no longer about beauty pageants. It has become a conversation about citizenship, immigration, identity, accountability, and whether children should bear the consequences of decisions allegedly made by their parents. Now, before we go into it, remember that everyone is entitled to due process and the courts will ultimately decide the legal. Now let's go into it. And by the way, in case you're landing on my channel for the very first time, don't forget to subscribe on the channel and also tap on that notification bell so that every time I upload anything on here, you're always notified.
Miss Universe Nigeria, Chidimma Adetshina, is busy attending court, fighting her deportation. And I just want to talk about how complicated her immigration status is. Because at the moment, you might think it's as simple as her getting deported, but she wants to stay in the country because what we know so far is that she was born in South Africa to a Mozambican mother and a Nigerian father. So the issue here, the main problem that she's going to face is the problem through her mother, because as a parent, when you have children, those children will be under you when it comes to Home Affairs documentation. They'll be under you and they'll get their birth certificate through you. So now, since her ID has been revoked and also her mother's ID has been revoked, who is she in South Africa? Because at the moment, she doesn't exist. So it won't even be easy for Home Affairs to issue her a new ID because your ID needs to be attached to someone else. It needs to have history that you actually have a parent somewhere. You cannot exist out of nowhere. You get me? Even if you were an immigrant, you came from another country, you have paper trail, you came from that country, you came to South Africa, maybe you created documentation, you became a permanent resident, or they gave you a birth certificate. But now it's going to be very complicated for Chidimma to stay in the country. Because right now, the Home Affairs basically has no choice but to deport her. But before I get into the topic a bit deeper, here's the footage and a clip of her being in court after the proceeding.
China is now legal in the country. And if the courts ultimately rule against you, what next steps are you trying to take? It's not that far, actually. Will you be appealing any decisions that will be made by the courts?
There are so many mistakes Chidimma made throughout this whole process, but we can give her a benefit of a doubt. Maybe her mother told her she's South African and she was not aware of this. We don't know at this point. What we know, what we were told is that she was born in South Africa, right? So the mistakes that she made, firstly, is because when the whole situation was happening, because it started on social media, on X, people were skeptical whether she's South African or not. I actually inboxed him. I told her, hey man, are you aware that there's a campaign to take you off Miss South Africa? She did not respond because I would have advised her that she must not entertain the whole situation. People would have spoken. In fact, by people talking about it, she would have got Miss South Africa. Even though it would have been allegedly fraudulent, she would have ignored that whole thing. Number two as well is when the Department of Home Affairs said, okay, can we go through your documentation and check whether you are legitimately a South African or not? She allowed the Home Affairs to actually go through her documentation because remember, as a private individual, even the Home Affairs is not allowed to go through your documentation. Your identity is private.
Gigi? Where exactly are you going? I'm going to go press the card. I'm going to come. No, I'm going to go with you. Oh, you're going to stand with me though.
So as soon as the Home Affairs went through her documentation at the Home Affairs department where they check all your stuff, whether your documents were legit or not, they actually found out that her mother bought her ID. But there are so many questions after that. Like, when the mother bought the ID, was she born at that moment? Because it could have happened that she bought the ID before Chidimma was born. So that ID that she bought, it's someone's identity, which means whatever identity the mother had, it means in the Home Affairs, for that person, the real person, it means that person has two kids because Chidimma obviously went under. This is so complicated, man. I'm trying to explain it like as simple as possible, but it's so confusing, right? Because the mother, that's not Chidimma's mother, the person that they took the identity from now has two kids. It's Chidimma and her own child because Chidimma's mother stole this identity from someone. She didn't just get, documentation legitimately. So at that moment, they found out everything, and obviously, Chidimma right now, even if the Home Affairs wanted to, they cannot keep her in the country because it's a logistical nightmare. They cannot offer her an ID out of nowhere. Her ID has to have a genesis. Who's her mother? Who's her father? You get what I mean? And now they can't do that because the mother forged the document and she's attending court also right now. So yeah, man, Chidimma, this whole situation is very complicated. Even if, yes, she's South African born, but the whole situation was handled poorly, even from her side, because I would assume if the whole situation was happening, she shouldn't have made it public by telling the Home Affairs, yes, you can check my documentation. She should have went to the Home Affairs personally and make sure that she talks to the Home Affairs as to what's going on. Whether they would make it public or not, it would be up to her. But when she made a public statement that the Home Affairs can check and the whole nation was looking, it was over at that point. Right now, I don't think the South African government can give her an ID. The only option at the moment is to deport her. The best option she has is to have a Nigerian ID when she gets back to Nigeria and come back and apply for a visa to come back and visit South Africa, a visitor's visa. So at the moment, I think she's still being disillusioned because she knows she's South African, right? But they're saying paperwork wise, she's not South African. That's why I think she's still in South Africa at the moment. She's still coming back because this is her home. So, hey, man, this situation is very complicated.
All right, welcome back once again. Yes, if you've watched this clip up to this far, I'm thinking you are enjoying every single bit of this video. And yes, also allow me to take this opportunity to shout out to all my returning subscribers for the love and support. And in case you haven't really thought of joining the membership of this channel, please do consider. We have only 3 stages: bronze, silver, and gold. It is that monthly subscription that always pushes me to always come back on here and still deliver these amazing videos on the current events. With today's episode, ladies and gentlemen, so apparently when Chidimma first entered the public spotlight during the Miss South Africa competition in 2024, many people were simply excited to see another woman pursuing her dreams. But things quietly changed when questions were raised about her citizenship. The Department of Home Affairs later alleged that her mother had committed identity theft years ago to obtain South African documentation. Now, those allegations are at the heart of this whole conversation. If they are proven, they suggest that the problem did not begin with Chidimma herself. It began long before she actually became a public figure. Now, Chidimma, she is the one facing all these legal consequences that would actually be faced by her mother. You know, sometimes I have seen this most especially when it comes to parents who are mothers. They can do anything to make sure that they put their children in the life that they want them to be. It is a good thing that, yes, mothers can really do sacrifice, but sometimes they do things without thinking of the repercussions that might happen in the future for their children. They always do these decisions thinking that children are going to appreciate them later, forgetting that as these children grow up later, they are the ones going to face these problems. I mean, for example, look at what is happening with Chidimma. The mother literally had to steal somebody else's identity so that her daughter can remain in South Africa. Who is suffering right now? It is the daughter. Apparently, she has appeared in court and has reportedly submitted an affidavit explaining the legal steps she is taking to regularize her stay in South Africa. And this case is still before the courts. So we have to allow the legal process to unfold. Do you know what really stands out mostly for me in this whole case? Is how the decisions of parents can affect their children for years, even decades. Because yes, many parents always want the best for their children, to an extent that they are always willing to make sacrifices, work multiple jobs, and overcome multiple obstacles. But sometimes people cross legal boundaries believing that they are helping their children without thinking about the long-term consequences and the repercussions. Now, if the allegations about identity theft are ultimately proven in court, then this case becomes a reminder to all of us that illegal shortcuts can even create bigger problems in the future. And one bigger question is always accountability. If someone commits identity theft or document fraud, should that person be held accountable? And I believe the answer is definitely a yes. Crimes involving identity don't only affect the government, they can also harm innocent people whose identity were stolen. At the same time, we should also ask whether it is fair for a child to carry the burden of decisions that were allegedly made before they were old enough to understand them. And yes, this might be difficult questions without a direct answer, because some people believe that Chidimma should simply accept deportation, or she should actually deport herself, and others believe she should be allowed to exhaust every legal avenue available for her before any final decision is made. And yes, both viewers are understandable, because every person has the right to challenge administrative decisions through the court. And yes, that is part of the rule of the law. And still, this matter reminds us that documentation matters a lot. Whether you are applying for citizenship, entering a country, or participating in national competition, proper legal documentation is essential, because without it, opportunities that took years to build can disappear almost in an overnight. And the saddest part of this whole story is watching someone's career becomes overshadowed by questions about legal status rather than their achievements. So as we wait for the court to make their decision, one thing is still very clear. This story is bigger than just one beauty queen. It is about the importance of honesty in legal process, the responsibility parents have towards their children, and the lasting consequences that can arise from decisions made many years earlier. And if the allegations are proven, then those responsible should face the legal consequence. So I would love to hear your thoughts. Do you think children should bear the consequences of their parents' actions? And should someone in Chidimma's position continue to fight the case in court, or would just accept the deportation? So yeah, share your thoughts down in the comments. And if you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and also subscribe on the channel if you haven't subscribed. Tap on that bell so that when I upload any video here, you're always notified. I'm not really intending on making this video very long because I don't want to bore you. Otherwise, allow me to stop from here. We shall meet again in another video that I'll be uploading. Have a beautiful day. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.